Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, let's do a Bitcoin and Ethereum update and just kind of try to see where we're going in terms of the markets, the crypto markets in particular. And I have a ton of good content in this video, so I hope you like it. If you do like it, please smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. Leave a comment in the comment section. But let's go ahead and dive right into this. Before we say anything, I do want to just give one update. Last week, I was getting very nervous in one regard, and that was that we were seeing inflation not dropping aggressively enough. And that raised some concerns that perhaps we were going to extend the Fed raising rates by the end of the year. And it was curious to see what happened as a result. Bitcoin just was basically like, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to pump anyway. And so there was something in the back of my mind as I was making the video last week. And I was talking about that I was short-term bearish and a little nervous even about medium-term, because I had been saying over the last month or so that I do expect a bear market rally to extend Bitcoin's price somewhere between $30,000 and $42,000, maybe even higher. But I was keeping in mind the Fed, I was keeping in mind CPI, and I wasn't too excited with what I saw last week. But Bitcoin is showing a lot of strength. And I just want to acknowledge that this was perhaps a miss on my part. From a TA standpoint, it would make sense for Bitcoin to get rejected here. But one thing that has been in the back of my mind that I am keeping in mind right now is simply this, that Bitcoin's price was suppressed by a whole lot of things that have been unprecedented in Bitcoin's history. I mean, we are still under the 200-week simple moving average, which has historically marked a bear market bottom, whenever we touch that from the top, not from the bottom, And so we have been suppressed. And what I'm seeing right now, what it seems to me at least, is that Bitcoin is moving back up to where it would have been if it wasn't for FTX, if it wasn't for Luna, which caused the cascade with 3AC, with BlockFi, Voyager, Celsius, etc. And so with that in mind, it's one of these things here where we could certainly just blow right through these levels despite the fact that inflation is not showing us much in terms of positivity. So we could go back to $30,000 in the 30,000 range and sit comfortably there for a while, or we could just blow on beyond that. Who knows? But we saw some strength last week, and it is causing me to not entirely throw away this idea that we're going to go down to $18,000 or perhaps even $16,000. But it does seem more likely to me that I've been talking about this $25,200 level for a while now, that this is the line in the sand. This is the battleground between the bulls and the bears. And I do believe that we're going to break through it, and perhaps even this week. And then after that, I think it will be a swift move up to this $28,500 level, or $28,800, maybe even up to $30,000, maybe even this week or the next week or something like that. That is within the realm of possibility. We have spent so little time here between $25,000 and $28,000 that a breakthrough this level, it's going to be aggressive. And I say that with a lot of confidence. But then looking at Ethereum, the stars are aligning in one regard. Ethereum is also at a very key level of resistance. If you remember, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, this time that Ethereum got up to $1,700, and I panicked. I set a panic bid to short it, because $1,700 has just, since 2021, has been an incredibly strong level when it comes to support in 2021. And then we broke through that to the downside, and it became resistance. And as soon as I saw Ethereum up to $1,700, I tried opening a short. I tried doing a limit short. I should have just done market. And if I did do that limit short, I would have done very well, but it didn't fill. And so it is what it is. But $1,700 is also a key level when it comes to Ethereum. So we're for Bitcoin and Ethereum, we are at the battleground. We are at the line of resistance. And if we break through this for Ethereum, this is my next target, a little over $2,000, 2034 to be exact. And I think that could also happen this week or next week. Another visualization for what I'm talking about here. Here's Bitcoin. And I know that this chart is kind of confusing. It's hard to explain. But right here, the dark red, that is a level of liquidations. That is where the bears have, again, drawn the line in the sand saying Bitcoin will not go higher than this. And if so, they're going to lose a lot of money. They're going to get liquidated. And Ethereum is the same thing. 1,700, a little higher than $1,700. Huge resistance there. Huge level where a lot of bears are going to get liquidated. So what happens when the bears get liquidated, when the shorts get liquidated? Well, there's going to be a short squeeze, and Bitcoin is going to make an aggressive move. Now, certainly there will be a retest, or there may be a retest at the 25 level, 25.2 level once we break through there. But again, aggressive move up to 28. Ethereum short squeeze, aggressive move up to $2,000. I would not be shorting right now. Longing, it's pretty difficult as well, as far as, we've gotten rejected pretty hard at these levels. You can see 4 days ago, that was a hard rejection. We went right down to the mid 23s. And then yesterday, rejection again, went right back down under $24,000. But each bounce is lessening in strength. So we got, we're really close to there again as of the day that I'm making this video. The next rejection, probably not going to be as hard, and eventually we're going to break through. I would not expect it to happen on President's Day, on a day that the stock market is closed, but on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. And so these are just some really key things. The stars are aligning potentially for a move higher. Anything could happen, but I would say probability-wise that we will be breaking through this resistance pretty soon, if not very soon. And so a couple things to keep in mind as well. This article here on Cointelegraph.com gives a lot of really interesting information as far as what's going on. So, you think about this, we always talk about the United States and the Federal Reserve, and it just so happens that it's aligning in such a way to where the United States, but also Europe and Canada, they're in these aggressive tightening cycles, which are making, causing squeezes and removing liquidity from the market. But what we're starting to see in China right now has to stay on our radar. China, GDP wise, is the biggest economy in the world. GDP per capita is, I think it's not the biggest, but it's a very major player. And what's going on in China is the opposite right now of what's been going on in the United States. Because if you remember, late 2022, they did some lockdowns with fears of COVID, which removed liquidity from their economy, caused things to get really tight. But right now, they are easing very aggressively. I mean, if you were to imagine something like this happening in the United States, this would be very bullish. I mean, the fact that China is easing is also bullish. But there's other things going on as well. So let me read a couple things here. Data from Cointelegraph Markets Pro and TradingView showed Bitcoin USD making up losses from around the weekly close to approach 25,000 mark again at the time of writing. Bulls remain unable to spark a resistance support flip, however, and whale activity on exchanges kept suspicions high. In its latest update, monitoring resource material indicators revealed that large volume traders were artificially, this is key here, artificially thinning resistance overhead, making it more likely that Bitcoin USD would move higher. So co-founder Keith Allen referenced a wall of bid liquidity, buoying spot price, something called the notorious BID. Multiple rejections from 25K correlates perfectly with Bitcoin macro TA, which is a valid reason to take profits at these levels, but notorious BID is still trying to push the price up, a tweet stated. So based on history and the potential rip through upside liquidity, I'm scalping longs. That's what one person says. From a TA perspective, this should be a local top. Line in the sand. But Notorious BID is still running the Binance order book. They are distributing Bitcoin as liquidity out of the 25K to 25.5K range into the active trading zone, so resistance is thinning. A potential plan among such traders could spark a large price run, causing retail investors to pile in or go long, then get stuck as whales distribute Bitcoin to the market at higher levels, which my target would be, again, 28, a little higher, 28.5 or so. that's when the distribution would begin. But moving on, China could boost, quote, liquidity junkie crypto. With the United States markets closed for a holiday, meanwhile, one analyst turned to longer term implications of moves from China. In addition to potentially allowing Hong Kong retail investors access to previously banned crypto, the Chinese central bank injected a record $92 billion of liquidity into the economy on February 17th. And so we have these multiple pieces in here. Yes, things are getting tighter in the United States, but the United States, we all know, is not the only player in this. China is a major player. The United States is the biggest player. Gotta admit that. But China is a major player, and the fact that they are easing right now, even though the rest, it's causing a little bit of that grip of tightening to be loosened a little bit. China is easing. We need to keep that on our radar, and that alone could send Bitcoin's price higher. I've seen different conversations about this, how much of a factor that China is playing in, can play in the crypto markets, and my vote is that yes, China can certainly cause this price to go higher. We've seen China play major roles in the past. China can certainly have an effect here. And that would be my assumption, a big reason why I am expecting, again, the next leg of this rally to move higher. So we've been here for a while, we've been pushing hard, trying to break through, and it's about time. It's almost time. That's that probability wise, that's where I believe that we are going next. As far as when, we'll see, but in my opinion, it's very soon. Now, I've talked about this before. I'll say it again very quickly. I drew, a fib. How about I just do that again? I've drawn a fib from this peak here, right before the Celsius, Luna, all that stuff collapse. And I've looked at where do I believe we can establish some confirmation that the bottom has formed. I know that there's a lot of horizontal lines here, but right here, the golden pocket is my key, the key level here. The 702 Fibonacci retracement is right at that $28,000 level. If we were to break through that in my opinion is a 100, almost as close to 100% confirmation that the bottom has formed. That $15,600 or so was the bottom. I do believe that was the bottom. I want to get that clear. I believe that was the bottom, but I've been waiting for this $28,000 level to be broken for how long now? For several months, for almost, we're more than half a year. So anyway, as far as entries are concerned, I would say this current range right here, 24.4, I would be setting some longs right about there. I've talked about, I had planned to take profits at that level at one point, but I closed my long early. Now I'm looking for a new long to move higher and eventually break through this 25.2 level. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.